The weather is about to take a serious turn as two major storm systems are developing right now, including one in the Caribbean Sea, which is about to become Hurricane Melissa. This is anticipated to become upwards of a Category 5 hurricane over the next few days, impacting areas like Jamaica, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Cuba, and even the Bahamas, and perhaps even Florida. Additionally, we are watching another big storm that is currently moving across the southern plains, which is bound to bring severe weather over the next few days, and on top of that, colder weather. So in today's forecast, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know about the weather that'll be impacting the United States and the Caribbean Sea over the next 7 days. And we will begin with what's happening in the Caribbean Sea right now. This right here is Tropical Storm Melissa, which is forecasted to become a hurricane by as early as tomorrow, as it very slowly moves to the northwest in the direction of Jamaica. This is a very concerning hurricane. The reason why I'm saying that is because there is a potential for catastrophic impacts to areas like Jamaica, Cuba, even possibly Haiti, and through the Bahamas as we go into the weekend and as well as into next week. And one of the biggest reasons why is because this particular tropical system is going to very slowly move to the west over the next several days, which means it has tons of time to intensify in the Caribbean Sea. And as long as this does not interact with land, this will almost undoubtedly become a Category 4 or 5 hurricane. And then from there, it is expected to impact a lot of the Greater Antilles as we go into the late weekend and early next week, with catastrophic flooding being a possibility, storm surge, hurricane force winds, and other impacts are definitely in play. And then from there, we'll likely go towards the Bahamas and then more than likely out to sea. However, there are scenarios where this does go a bit further to the west and perhaps even goes up towards New England in the long term, which is a unlikely scenario at this time, but we definitely can't rule it out since anything that happens beyond Cuba is still over 5 days from now, and that is something that is hard to forecast. So we definitely need to watch this particular tropical system extremely closely. Back over in the United States, we do have a big storm that is forming over the desert southwest right now. This will bring some severe weather today and tomorrow, including wind, hail, and a couple of tornadoes to areas like the Oklahoma and Texas region, also back into the Mississippi Valley. We'll talk more about that here in just a moment. So let's begin by going more in detail about Tropical Storm Melissa. This one looks like right now in the Caribbean Sea. This is still down to the southeast of Jamaica right now. Very deep convection currently occurring with this tropical system, so it's generally healthy. The only problem right now is that it is in a moderate area of wind shear, and over the next couple of days that wind shear is going to die down, which means that Melissa is going to rapidly intensify as it moves to the west northwest. And so overall, this is not a very bad looking tropical system right now, and it's going to be on its way to becoming a hurricane by as early as tomorrow. Now, before we go into the forecast to track the scenarios and the impacts that Melissa will bring, I do want to talk more about why we're even talking about Melissa this intensely right now. One of the reasons why is because hurricane models, which are models that are literally used only for hurricanes, have been showing some really crazy stuff as we go into this weekend, basically indicating that we are going to see Melissa rapidly intensify just to the southeast of Jamaica. This is what the infrared imagery could look like by Saturday evening. We could have a pinhole eye just to the southeast of Jamaica, and then by Sunday, this could be a very intense Category 4 or 5 hurricane sitting just off the coast of Jamaica by this point, which means that we could have substantial rain in addition to hurricane force winds in Jamaica for over 24 or 48 hours, assuming that this does track a little bit further down to the south of Jamaica. And then from there, this will likely turn off to the northeast as we go into Monday or Tuesday as a very intense Category 4 or 5 hurricane, which I do think a Category 5 hurricane is 100% at play. Another thing I want to point out is that this particular model is also showing that this will likely drop under 910 millibars. And if that were to happen, this would be one of the more intense hurricanes that we've had in over the last decade in the Atlantic Ocean. So this is something that we need to watch very closely, as it could impact millions of people that live in the Greater Antilles. Now, this is the National Hurricane Center's forecast on Melissa and where it's going to be going over the next few days. And to begin with, this is one of the strangest hurricane forecasts that you'll ever see. It is a very small area that we are talking about over the next 5 days where Melissa is going to be. Reason why is because there's not really much steering this particular tropical system. So over the next few days, it's going to become a hurricane by as early as tomorrow night or Saturday morning. By Sunday, we are expecting this to become a Category 3 hurricane, and then therefore becoming a Category 4 or 5 hurricane by as early as Sunday evening, just off the coast of Jamaica. Now, from there, beyond Monday, that's where things become a lot more uncertain, because with how slowly this is going to be moving, we don't really know when this is going to turn. It could turn as early as Saturday or Sunday and turn right up into Jamaica. It could also wait until Monday or Tuesday and turn through central Cuba and then eventually go through the Bahamas, and then a less likely scenario is that it waits until about Wednesday or even Thursday and then eventually goes through western Cuba, and that would actually be a lot closer to Florida and the Bahamas. So there's multiple scenarios at play, and on our next segment we're going to go in detail about all the different scenarios and show you which one is the most likely to occur. Now let's go into the spaghetti models and go over all the different scenarios that could evolve with Melissa over the next few days. This is beginning with Friday. Notice how this is barely going to move between now and Friday afternoon. It is basically going to sit southeast of Jamaica and south of Haiti, bringing at least some tropical storm impacts to very far southern Haiti on Friday. By Saturday, this is going to start to move a little bit more. There's a couple scenarios that could evolve here, one of which is that Melissa does turn a little bit more off to the north, and then the other one is that it just keeps kind of pinching to the west, basically. It's not going to be moving much, but it'll be inching off to the west as we go into late Saturday and early Sunday. Now, Sunday into Monday is going to be the big day. This is when we're anticipating rapid intensification here just off the coast of Jamaica, likely becoming a Category 3 to 4 hurricane, maybe even a Category 5 by this point. By Tuesday is when the big turn is going to happen. That essentially means we are going to be watching this hurricane going from west or just stationary to eventually racing off to the north. That is as a crashing cold front, which we should see, will be going right through Florida and also the East Coast. And assuming that this cold front pushes through, that is going to basically help this hurricane to turn out to sea. That's at least what we hope. Obviously, things could change if the intensity of the cold front is a lot weaker. This could easily drift more to the west or even could go closer to Florida. So those are things that we need to keep in mind here. But assuming this cold front goes all to plan, we should see this turn out to sea, but it will be impacting Cuba. It'll be impacting Haiti, the Dominican Republic, the Bahamas, and Jamaica with catastrophic flooding, hurricane force winds, storm surge, beach erosion, you name it. Anything that a hurricane produces, it's basically going to happen in almost all of these countries, which means that you should be preparing right now if you're in Jamaica, Haiti, Cuba, or the Bahamas for the potential for hurricane impacts. I am not joking when I say this. We could literally see some areas with over 40 inches of rainfall out of this hurricane, which is absurd. But if this does stall near Jamaica, we could see those impacts for both Jamaica and even perhaps Haiti as we go into this weekend and early next week. Now, this is a simulated future radar to give you an idea of when we can see impacts and also how intense this hurricane is going to get over the next few days. As we go into Saturday, this will likely become a hurricane just to the south of Jamaica. On Sunday and Monday, the European model has this drifting very far off to the west, that it's actually southwest of Jamaica by early Monday, and it basically stalls there all the way through Tuesday and Wednesday before eventually moving off to the north into Jamaica by early Wednesday morning as potentially a Category 4 or 5 hurricane. As we go to late Wednesday and Thursday, this goes right through Cuba and then eventually up towards the Bahamas, causing the potential for catastrophic impacts anytime between Tuesday and Thursday of next week. Now, keep in mind the timing of this could easily change. As I've already alluded to, we could see this go through Jamaica and Cuba way earlier than Wednesday or Thursday. It could happen as early as Sunday or Monday, for the record. So this is an evolving situation at this point. This could turn at basically any given point. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Any new updates that come out about this, we'll have another video on, so make sure you stay tuned. One of the biggest concerns with Melissa will be the threat of catastrophic rainfall this weekend into next week. And assuming that the European model is right about the timing and how long Melissa stalls here in the Caribbean Sea, this is basically the region where we could see that potential for catastrophic rainfall. Anywhere in the brown is essentially around 400 to 800 millimeters of rainfall, which equivalates to upwards of 20 to 40 inches of rainfall in these areas, which is just simply catastrophic, especially since there's some mountainous regions out here, and so we could easily see mudslides, and a lot of problems could come out of this much rainfall in a short period of time. So unfortunately, this is not a good situation. We need to just hope that Melissa turns out to sea way faster so it doesn't intensify that fast. Unfortunately, though, it looks like it is going to stall somewhere just off the coast of Jamaica over the weekend, and then from there, this thing could just cause a lot of destruction. Let's just hope this is not as bad as it looks. Unfortunately, though, I do think this is almost becoming worst case scenario for areas like Jamaica, Cuba, and even Haiti. Now, shifting gears to the United States, we have a lot more to talk about, including the risk of severe weather over the next few days. It's making a big return beginning with today across the southern plains. We do have a slight risk of severe weather in place. This includes areas like north central Texas, also through Lubbock and far southeastern New Mexico. Marginal threat goes from Oklahoma City all the way back over into Colorado and Utah. The biggest concern for today will be damaging winds and large hail. There's also a chance for a couple of tornadoes. This is basically going to be contingent on boundary interactions this afternoon and evening, but definitely stay weather aware in this corridor. That does include areas from Wichita Falls, Texas, all the way back into Lubbock. There could be a couple couple of tornadoes anytime basically from 4 o'clock all the way through about midnight. So definitely stay weather aware and have multiple ways to receive warnings. There's a low chance of a live stream on this channel, so make sure that you're subscribed down below and click the bell icon so you're notified if we do go live. On Friday, the threat of severe weather continues. We got a slight risk of severe weather for much of the western sections of Texas, and then a marginal threat that does go back towards Dallas-Fort Worth. Biggest concerns for Friday will be damaging winds and large hail, but there is a potential also for a couple of tornadoes on Friday. This will once again be contingent on boundary interactions. I do think there's a slightly higher tornado potential for Friday comparatively to Thursday, but overall it's going to be a low-end threat either day. Now let's go over the timing of severe weather, beginning with today, which is Thursday. We'll have some scattered showers and thunderstorms through about 4 to 5 o'clock back over in the Texas Panhandle, but this right here is really going to be the main concentration of severe weather activity. By about 5 o'clock, we'll have some big supercells firing off in southwestern Oklahoma, also back over northwestern North Texas with very large hail, damaging winds, and maybe a brief tornado being a possibility. By 7 to 8 o'clock, these storms will continue. They'll be pretty scattered in nature, and then by about midnight to 1 in the morning, we're just going to have a big area of showers and isolated thunderstorms, maybe a broken line of thunderstorms moving through parts of western North Texas as we go into the overnight hours into early tomorrow morning. On Friday, we're going to have another threat of severe weather. This one's going to be much further back off to the west. We'll have a bunch of storms anywhere from Kansas all the way back into West Texas. Greatest concern on Friday will be large hail and damaging winds, but any storms that can stay a bit more discreet out here in West Texas may squeeze out a tornado or two during the mid to late afternoon and early evening. And then as we go into the overnight hours, we'll have a big line of thunderstorms pushing its way through the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, Austin, San Antonio, perhaps going towards Houston during the morning hours on Saturday. And then Saturday, we're just going to be watching for more scattered showers and thunderstorms with more severe weather on the table, mainly across southeast Texas, Louisiana, southwest Arkansas. I'd anticipate damaging winds, some isolated hail, perhaps a couple of tornadoes again being on play on Saturday. And then Sunday, this is all going to be starting to weaken. And overall, we're just talking about showers across the southeast on Sunday and Monday with some spotty storms, severe weather, not as likely Sunday and Monday. And then beyond this weekend, we're going to have another big storm during the early portion of next week. This storm has downtrended quite a bit from models over the last few days. It originally looked like we could see a severe weather outbreak. Now it looks like we may see some isolated severe weather on Monday from Midwest all the way back into Northeast Texas, but not nearly as intense of a storm system by the looks of it. But we could still see severe weather. It's still uncertain exactly what the impacts will be. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. We'll keep you posted with the latest. On Tuesday, more severe weather possible across the Dixie Alley and the lower Ohio Valley. And then Wednesday into Thursday, that storm system moves off the coast of the United States. And then beyond that into early November, things remain uncertain. And another thing that we have to talk about is a huge shift in temperatures over the next 5 days. Right now, we have temperatures that are just above average for most of the Great Plains. And then back over in the Northeast, we have below average temperatures. But it's going to flip as we go into the early portion of next week, as we are going to see a big storm system form over the Midwest. And we anticipate that this will bring a pretty big shot of cold air across the Great Plains, the Midwest, and the Southeast by Wednesday. And then right around Halloween is when things could be well below average across the Southeast. Look how cold it gets. We have purples showing down in the Southeast as we go into Thursday of next week. If this were to happen, we're going to have a 10 to 20 degree temperature drop across Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, and a bunch of other areas. So really nice weather's on the horizon if you're back over in the Southeast. However, this could lead to some freezing temperatures in areas like Kentucky and perhaps even back over in West Virginia. So that is something that we need to keep an eye on. But generally speaking, this will be the first real taste of fall across the Southeast. And as always, thank you all so much for watching today's forecast. If you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. We'll likely have another video tomorrow going way more in detail about Melissa and the latest updates on that. So click the bell icon so you're notified with the latest updates, and we will see you all again in the next forecast.